And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Ray Shasho Show, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Each week, Ray spotlights in-depth interviews with legendary and up-and-coming authors and music artists. Ray also features the movers and the shakers of the music and publishing industries and suggests important methods for getting the most out of your public relations and marketing needs. Please welcome music journalist, author, and entrepreneur, Ray Shasho.
Hello once again, everyone. I'm Ray Shasho, broadcasting from BBS Radio, and welcome to the show where we spotlight legendary and up-and-coming music artists and authors, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Call us today at 941-877-1552 or visit www.publicityworksagency.com. Remember, we shine only when we make you shine. CANDICE NIGHT is the enchanting singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist for the medieval folk rock group Blackmore'S. Candice was raised on Long Island, New York, and began a modeling career at the age of 12, appearing in print ads, commercials, and promotions at trade shows into her 20s. She hosted a rock show at a local Long Island radio station, which helped transform her destiny. Knight met Ritchie Blackmore, legendary lead guitarist for Deep Purple, at a soccer match hosted by WBAB, the classic rock radio station she worked at. Blackmore enlisted Knight to sing backup vocals on Deep Purple's The Battle Rages On tour in 1993. Knight went on to co-write and contribute her musical styles to Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow on the tracks Aerial, Hall of the Mountain King, Black Masquerade, and Wolf to the Moon for the Strangers in Us All album. Knight also toured with Rainbow as a background vocalist. Candice also provided vocals on Ritchie Blackmore's version of Apache on the album Twang, a tribute to Hank Marvin and the Shadows. The compilation features some of the greatest guitarists of our time. In 1997, Blackmore's Night catapulted the duo of Ritchie Blackmore and Candice Night into a fairy tale journey, performing wizardry, medieval folk arrangements with a dose of rock and roll. The group's debut album, Shadow of the Moon, endured the European music charts for 17 weeks. The track Play Minstrel Play featured Ian Anderson, the superlative flautist of Jethro Tull. With her second solo offering, Starlight, Star Bright, Night's vocal quality is richer than in years past, bringing you to a quiet and intimate place with the singer, a place of beauty and dreams. Inspired by the birth of her children, Autumn and Rory, she began creating this CD when she was pregnant with her first child. I really felt just so completely full of love and part of this bigger picture, this miracle Night remembers. I wanted to sing to celebrate this incredible life that was occurring inside of me. I've never felt so spiritual. When her children were born, she sang to them each night to lull them to sleep, and each morning so they would awaken with the wonderful sound of song. When she spoke to other moms who wished they could sing to their own children but didn't have the confidence in their own voices to do so, Candice decided to create this CD, not only for her own children, but for the moms who wish they had soothing songs to ease their child's journey into dreamland after the sun sets. So many parents enjoyed the songs so much. Candice was reticent in calling this a lullaby CD, though that's what she originally intended to do. Now created for children and adults to relax, she terms it music to dream by. On Starlight, Star Bright, you will find new original melodies, some co-written and played with Ritchie Blackmore, some solo by Night, as well as a song originally written by her daughter Autumn when she was only a year and a half. I walked in one day and she was singing this beautiful song to her dolls as she lay them down to sleep. I recorded it on video without her knowing it, and the song has always stayed with me since that first moment I heard it. It's called Lullaby in the Night. It was the first video I shot for the project as well. Once in a Garden is another song that a video was filmed for from the CD, starring Candice's children as well as a wonderful group of other children playing pretend as children do. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song about their innocence that the video encapsulates perfectly. Other songs from the CD include old and new favorites, all recorded with the Candice Night magic put to them. As the executive producer of the CD and the woodwind player, as well as vocalist and lyricist, each sound recorded was done so under her careful direction to ensure the sound was the beautiful sound of what she felt lullabies should be. Knight's velvety vocals add new dimension to John Denver's Annie song, Plums in My Arms, as well as Disney favorites, So This Is Love and Baby Mine. Many other songs await you on this musical journey to the land of dreams. Please welcome the enchanting songstress, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist for Blackmore'S Night, Candice Night. Hello, Candice.
Hello. Hi, everyone. How are you today?
We're doing fine.
Great.
The last time we chatted was, Blackmore'S Night was on their 15th anniversary.
Wow.
And you had released A Night in York, which was an awesome CD, DVD, special edition collection. So, and we had a great time chatting, I remember.
Yeah, we always have fun. So it sounds
Exactly.
like we're due every 5 years then?
Every
Because this
I
year's
guess
our
you're
20th
right.
anniversary, so it's been a long time.
Last time you were telling me how Ritchie loves to run the Hoover. Does he still like vacuuming?
Always, always. It's actually, that was the key of what actually made me marry him. Is ladies, if you can find a man who likes to vacuum, just grab him, really. Don't let him go.
You know, you two mesh so well together. You know, your personalities are a little different. You know, he's a little more laid back, and you're a little bit more outgoing. But you know, you're perfect as husband and wife.
That's what they
so
say.
cool.
That opposites attract. You know, I always find I always kind of visualize that yin yang thing. I know it sounds so cliche, but like, you know, he's like kind of the dark part of yin yang. I'm like the light part, and we kind of just somehow fit together. So like his strengths are my weaknesses, and vice versa. So together, I think we make one complete person.
That's funny. The dark and the light, huh?
Yeah, totally. I wonder who's who.
Well, how are the children doing?
They're fantastic. They're amazing. We have so much fun every day. In all honesty, Autumn is 7 years old now, and
wow, you're kidding me.
I know. Rory's 5, and he's like your typical. He's a typical little man. He's all cars, trucks, and women. He hits on women to the point of embarrassment for me sometimes. But they have so much energy. They could, like, just one of them could probably power a small city. If I could just get, like, a hamster wheel or something and keep them running on it, it would be amazing. I might put them under the hood of my car or have one of those Fred Flintstone mobiles from back in the day. But,
it's amazing how much energy they have.
So much energy. I wish I had more energy. I wish I had more energy, eyes in the back of my head, and, like, enough arms, you know, that an octopus could, like, take care of everything I needed to. And then I'd be golden. I'd have it all under control.
Well, listen to this. My son's wife is due in October, and she's going to have identical twin girls.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
We're going to be listening to Starlight, Starbright a lot.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I just want to say I'm glad I can help out.
Oh, yeah.
In advance. That's going to be very helpful for you guys.
Any kind of tool we can use to settle them down, you know, or settle us down is a great thing.
Well, I'll tell you, when the babies sleep or when the babies are relaxed and calm, then mommy gets to sleep or daddy gets to sleep. Everybody else in the house gets to sleep and relax. So it actually winds up being really helpful for the whole household.
You know, there's nothing like a nap when the whole family just takes a whole nap together. Even if it's for like 15, 20 minutes. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so true. You never realize how important sleep is until you don't have it.
Exactly.
Right? Like I figured I was ready to have kids because, I mean, I'm a musician. So, you know, I've been with my husband since 1989. So it's almost 30 years this year. And before we had kids, I was like, look, we've slept late for like 20 years already. I mean, we sleep until, you know, we're up until 2 a.m. We sleep until like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. You know, we do all of we're up the same amount of hours as everybody else. We're just, you know, on a different shift. But I was like, oh, I've slept late so long. I'm sure I've got it all out of my system now. You know, it's fine now. I can get up really early with the kids and do whatever we need to. No, you know, I thought I had it all figured out. If you don't have the sleep, you don't have the sleep, and you feel horrible. You definitely need your sleep. And now I'm actually burning at both ends because I try to keep up with my kids. My daughter, or actually my son's starting kindergarten in September, so I'll be up at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning with them. But my husband still wants me to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning with him.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually binging right now on Better Call Saul. I mean, that's like our 45 minutes of adult time at night. Like I put both kids to sleep, and then one at a time in tandem, and then I come downstairs and I watch Better Call Saul with him, and then I go upstairs and fall asleep by like 2 a.m. But,
and that's a big thing.
That's a big thing for us, right?
Exactly.
But honestly, like right now, it's summertime, so now we're back into our musicians' hours. So both kids go to sleep by 1 o'clock in the morning, and they wake up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, which is beautiful.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Now, do you guys practice at nighttime? Are you in the studio, or
we actually have a studio in our home. We have a lower level. Our basement level is originally, when we first moved into our house, it was a contemporary house. It's right on the water, and it's beautiful, but it was all white on white with like white Venetian blinds and white walls and white carpeting, and we said, oh, no, that's like dentist office white. Like, no.
Exactly.
So over the years, so we've made it our sanctuary. We've kind of, we put in medieval tapestries and wrought iron sconces, and the walls on the carpets are burgundies and like rich dark greens, and the whole lower level basement area is a dungeon, which of course everyone needs in their home.
Everybody needs a dungeon.
We have medieval torture devices on the walls. It's a beautiful thing. So the walls are made of like stone down there. So it's taken a while for us to build the whole thing up. And it's very
really
cool. Everything is very low lit, very low lighting, and but it's a bar area down there. Like it's a man cave, per se.
Nothing wrong with that,
right? So he loves it. That's his area down there, and it really does look like you just stepped into a medieval pub or bar, over in Europe somewhere. Which is, of course, it's hard to find here in America. They're out there, but they're few and far between. And
exactly.
but he always said that he wanted to be the only musician who didn't have a studio in his home. He was happy with the bar in his house. But after a while, we actually found out that it would make sense for us to just be able to, when we do record, to have a studio. So we have a studio like right off of the bar, so it's perfect because he can drink and then go right into the studio and record.
Sure. That makes sense.
It's strategically perfect the way it's placed down there.
I love the new album. It's actually not real new. Didn't it come out like a year and a half ago or something like that?
Yeah, it came exactly. That's right. Yeah.
But
it's taken a while to put it together, and then
it
was a couple of years in the making and the progress on it, and it getting it exactly the way I wanted it to be. And then exactly, we put it out about a year and a half ago.
All the critics have been saying that your voice has gotten better. Have you been doing anything, or is it just the type of songs that you've been singing, or because maybe it just kind of spotlights your voice a little more doing these songs? I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's a good point. I kind of think it's probably a few things. I guess scientifically, my voice is like anybody else's voice. It's basically a muscle, So to work it out, like you sing over the years, and I've noticed, like listening back to our first album, Shadow of the Moon, back in '97, it was much higher, higher pitches, but it still had like this really refreshing innocence that you wouldn't, get out there in today's music world. So. But then, of course, recording and touring and doing all the things, do all the interviews, all of this, the scales that I'm doing, vocal exercises and things. Over the years, it's just kind of honed my voice really, and my skill and my craft have I feel gotten stronger, and I've gotten more comfortable, more even in a mental and emotional way. Like I feel much more comfortable out there now, just breaking into song, whereas maybe 20 years ago I was much more shy, and although Ritchie, I love how he can see things in people that maybe even those particular people can't see. Like I never would have thought 20 years ago that I would have been front and center stage, but he obviously saw something in me that or in my voice that he thought was refreshing or new or different or whatever it was. It fit for what he wanted to do at the time, and really that's where Blackmore'S Night kind of was born, in that comfort zone of being able to just sing and play acoustically and make it work for us. So over the years, I think that with the touring and everything else, everything's gotten stronger. The stage presence has gotten stronger. I'm more in my comfort zone now. and of course 20 years or 20-something years in, doing music, it's I think everything's just kind of, we're at our peak, and hopefully the peak will just keep rising, it'll keep going. So we're in a good place.
It's so apparent that you guys love music, and I love the way you can just start singing, and then, Ritchie brings his acoustic out or whatever kind of, the oud or whatever kind of guitar he's playing at the time, and, you guys can play anywhere, and you sound terrific, and then, not like a lot of the artists today with auto-tune, you know what I mean?
No, definitely not.
You're the real thing.
As a matter of fact, that's one of the things that he really loves, is just being able to take a mandola or a mandolin or just an acoustic guitar
that's
and
so cool.
Maybe a penny whistle or a shawm, throw it in the back of the car, and we can go anywhere and we do that all the. It's so funny that you mentioned that, because the other day, probably about 2 or 3 days ago, we were at a local park. Right here where we live, like around in Long Island, and it was beautiful. The full moon was out and it was rising. The sun had already set, and the sky was all different colors of pink, and it was just amazing. And the kids were playing on the playground, and Ritchie had brought the mandola and the mandola and one of the shawms. And we just wanted to do music, so we sat at one of the picnic tables, and the park was emptying out, of course, because the dark was coming. But that's our perfect time of night. The fireflies all around,
right.
And we just sat there and we played while the kids rolled down the hill and chased fireflies, and in this very public surrounding. And we noticed that there was this couple with 2 younger children, and they kind of were around the bend, like beyond this wall of hedges, but they were kind of hovering and just sitting there waiting. And you never know why people are waiting there, but after we had finished, like probably a good 45 minutes worth of music, they walked down the path, to get to their car, and as they passed us, they said, "We just wanted to thank you guys for the private concert. We're really big Blackmore'S Night fans," and it was like the most amazing. And we had no idea that they even knew, anything about who we were or what we were doing. And the woman was an oboe player, and they had their 2 kids there, and they just loved it, and they wouldn't leave until we stopped playing, and they were just such big fans. So it was great to be able, to give that to them as a little, private music concert. But we weren't aware that we were even doing that, because for us to be able to take our music anywhere and just play for ourselves, it's just so freeing, and such a great thing. And like Ritchie always says, in any other band, he'd have to, pack Marshalls and or Angle amps and, and his electric. Like, no, it's very difficult for people to be able to do that. So we're really, really blessed and lucky that we can just take it wherever we go and be able to create.
That's one of my favorite songs, by the way, Fireflies.
Oh, thank you. It's a Faith Hill
That's
song.
a cool song.
Yeah, I love that.
And, of course, you got a couple of official videos on YouTube. You got the Lullaby in the Night, which is awesome. The story behind that is really, really cool. Yeah. And Once in a Garden is also on YouTube. And it's getting a lot of hits, too, by the way. A lot of people a lot of people really like that.
Oh, I'm glad. That's great. Yeah, they're coming, all of these songs, I feel like they're coming from such a place of innocence and naivete and just these beautiful, pure moments. And I don't know, I always feel like when you listen to music today, to me it feels like either so overtly aggressive or overtly like sexual, with all the dance moves and the pyrotechnics and the sexy outfits, or it always has to be like in your face and
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like, back it up like 3 feet, please.
I know.
It's so much, and so I think it's really rare to find these moments and to appreciate them and to enjoy them, and for some people to even realize that they're there, because a lot of people aren't brought up like that. They don't realize that, especially in these days too of iPads and iPhones, and every kid you see is like just staring at a screen, and I don't know. I feel like we're kind of losing track of ourselves. So I always love to get back to to nature and to feeling the wind in your hair and watching the fireflies and, looking out for stars and the things that I do with my children, or the things I did even before I had children. That was the stuff that renewed my spirit. That was the stuff that after a hard day at work, or, I needed to recharge my batteries, or they're stressed from so many different sources, you kind of just really need to unplug. And by unplug, I don't mean turning on a television and just zoning out. Like, I mean really just get away from all this electronic stuff and just get outside and breathe some fresh air and watch a sunset. And you just get renewed, And I'm so enthusiastic about even the idea or the feeling of that. And I find that people have a tendency not to do it, or sometimes they don't even know that that's even, it just never even comes into their mind. So creating this album and really, I mean, even on the classic songs like So This Is Love or Baby Mine, things like that, or even the John Denver song, which actually, strangely enough, Annie's song was Ritchie and my wedding song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was our first dance song. So, but, you know, even with things like that, those songs are brilliant, wonderful classics. People might not normally think to sing that to a child in your arms to rock them to sleep.
Right.
But anything that came out of my mouth to sing to my children, I wanted to be just totally innocent, totally beautiful, no negative connotations. So I even took out like little bits and pieces of those songs that were out there that I feel, you know, it bothered me to sing certain words, like just for you know, some random example, like when John Denver sings "Let Me Die in Your Arms," like I would never sing, you know, like just anything with death, like it never needs to be around my child as I'm singing in sleep. So you know, but "Let Me Lie in Your Arms" is what your child is doing. They're lying in your arms, and so there were certain little tweaks that made so much sense to me. That wound up being so perfect, and were simple, like little easy fixes that I was able to incorporate and just really bring it back to that innocent point, to not only make me feel better singing it in words, but make me feel better make my child feel better, even though they don't understand the language at that point. It's just a soothing tone and a calming place, and just pure and innocence. And I really feel like with this album, I was really able to encompass that whole vibe.
Well, I can't imagine your kids, you know, bringing your parent to school day or something like that, and they bring you and Ritchie. How cool would that be? And you guys are playing, you know, Blackmore'S Night stuff, you know, and you're singing to the kids, you know, your lullabies and things like that.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Strangely enough, I'll tell you what, my daughter and my son both, I have done this for both of them, actually in 3 different schools. My kids have gone to like a more of a nature-based school when they were 2 and 3, and I only put them in like 2 days a week for like just to, you know, to get used to other children, which is ironic because when my daughter was 2, she was telling me that she was pensive instead of, you know, like she would use like these giant words at the age of 2, and
wow,
it was amazing. Yeah, she was getting her nails done for my sister's wedding, and the woman was like, "Are you sad, sweetie? You're so quiet." She's like, "I'm not sad. I'm just pensive." I'm like, "Oh my god."
That's so
just
funny.
Amazing. Or, you know, like she would walk into the den when my husband would have left a news station on, and you know, it wasn't baby TV or something, you know, wasn't on. So she'd go in that room, and I'd be like, "Oh, honey, didn't you want to watch, you know, Bonnie Bear or whatever was on it?" She goes, "No, Mommy, Daddy has his TV on, and it was ridiculous and preposterous, and I won't watch preposterous TV."
Preposterous.
I'm like, "Oh, well, understood." You know?
That's hilarious.
Both of them are just, they keep me hysterical laughing all day long. We really have a good time. But so they were in this very nature-based kind of thing, school for a couple of days a week, a couple hours a day when they were both 2, and then 2 to 3. And then when they were 4 years old, I put them in a school that was more academic-based. So, you know, they were more, not that they needed more academic stimulation, but it was good for them. Maybe 3 days a week we did that, but it was so funny because I volunteered. I said, "Is there any way that, you know," like they were always looking for, you know, they would bring in the canine dog so the kids could meet, you know, the police officer, and they always had these things. And I was like, "Can I come in and bring, you know, my stuff?" And the teachers, all of them, were like, "Absolutely." So what I would do is take all of my medieval and Renaissance woodwind instruments, and I dressed up in full garb like I do on stage.
Wow. How cool
and
is that?
I sat there and I did a whole, for all of them, you know, all the kids would just sit like it was a little assembly. And I did this maybe 4 times, so a couple of times for my daughter and a couple of times for my son, different years in preschool. And that's what I did. I sat there with the different instruments, and I'd start off with the smallest little penny whistle, the G penny whistle, and I would bring it up to like the big penny whistles, and then all the different recorders, and then the crumb horns, which they love because it looks like an elephant's trunk, you know, but makes that really buzzy sound, and then some the Roush pipes, which are very loud, and different kinds of shawms with different holes in the back. So, I mean, where else are they going to see or hear stuff like that? And then, of course, I would play the songs with them and hand out little recorders for them to take home and probably drive their parents crazy. But they loved it. All the kids were they're so into music, and I feel like music is so important to have, as a foundation when you're so young. It's just like this amazing thing. I feel like it wakes up part of your mind, and it brings you. My daughter. We were driving the other day, and my daughter said to me, "Mommy, I'm bored," in the back of the car. I said, "Good. I'm glad that you're bored. You know why? Because out of boredom comes the birth of songs and the birth of stories and great storytellers and art and painting and fairy tales." And I said, "So I want you to be bored. So now your brain will think, okay, how do I make myself not bored?" And she asked me for a pen and paper and a note, so I gave her a notebook, and she wrote like 6 stories before we got to our destination, all different ideas, and she illustrated them. And I'm like, that's fantastic. I would so much rather have you do things like that, And she's sounding it all out phonetically and stuff, which is so cute. And but I'd rather them have that than be looking at a screen that tells them what to think.
Candice, you're a great mom. You really are. That's awesome.
Thank you. You need to hear that as a mom. You need to hear that because
you're
again,
a great
you feel
mom.
like
I'm sure Richie's a great dad.
He is. He brings them outside and plays soccer with them. He's really good. We have a really good time.
That's awesome.
Thank you. I needed that.
All the best times I remember in elementary school were, I remember playing with different instruments, and we had our music teacher, and I remember she always had like a xylophone or something. Not a xylophone, what John Sebastian always played, in his, with the 11 spoonful. I can't remember it. It's all strings and you hold it in your hands. Gosh, I can't remember now. It's terrible.
That's okay.
Anyway, I remember her coming in all the time playing with that, and and art. I was so into art and telling stories and everything. And I'm afraid sometimes they think that it's a waste, like the school board thinks it's a waste of money to teach art and teach. It's ridiculous. I mean, to me, that was the most important part of elementary school, even middle school.
And it's, it's a creative outlet. If children don't have a creative outlet, if anybody doesn't have a creative outlet, I don't know. It's a scary thing. They need that, and a lot of times it's very difficult to get them to do that at home because a lot of parents are working really hard and they don't have the time to sit there and do the stuff with their kids, and it's just easier to put them in front of a screen, but that's sad. I mean, those programs are so important. They're important for the child's development, for cognitive reasons, for motor skills, like for everything. But the creativity, you can't get that anymore. For a child to realize their own creativity, and it's always going to be individual, and it's always going to be coming from a different place with each individual child. And it's so interesting, even if you ask them to draw a picture of one particular thing, and you see the different perspectives of what every single child has seen it as, and is not only their capabilities, but just their vision, that really helps build their individuality, as well as their creativity, obviously. So it's just so important.
My daughter's been a high school English teacher, and she teaches AP for the last 8 years. This year, she's going to teach 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to be a big change.
That's a big step. It's funny because Autumn's first grade teacher was a 5th grade teacher originally, and they put her into first grade for last year, just for Autumn's class. They actually moved her back to 5th grade this year. But, even in talking to her about things, she had forgotten that at first grade they're still learning who they are. They're still, becoming little people and learning little skills like how to express themselves or talk to other people or play with other children or what's right and what's wrong. Or like she had forgotten that, because once they're 5th grade, obviously the development is so much beyond what a first grader is. So she had to really kind of overthink the way that she was expressing herself, the way she was talking to the kids when the kids came to her with what normally probably would be deemed as silly little things. For these kids, those are giant stepping stones. They're every step is a huge step for a child because every step they're learning something about themselves. They still are having a hard time tying their shoes or something.
That's
so,
right.
They're really learning how to talk to each other and how to play together and how to express themselves. And I think it took her a while to kind of get back to the point where, oh wow, they're not 5th grade mentality. I've kind of got to roll myself back and try to really think like they are because they're basically just coming out of kindergarten. And they're going to continue to learn every day. That's what I tell my daughter. I'm like, I told her, even with our relationship, I said, here's the thing. I was never a mommy before you. So where you know that you're learning every single day and every step, I'm learning with you every day and every step.
Right.
You know, I'm learning how to be a mommy, so we're on this journey together. Because they're born into this world looking at you like you know everything. You know, like you're the mom, you know everything. And I'm like,
That's
look,
right.
you know, I might make mistakes sometimes. I'm always going to try to do what's best for you. That's my first priority. But we're learning both together as you know, as we go along. And I think that's important. I think even with a lot of parents, I think they don't give themselves enough credit, or they feel like they're so tapped out of energy, or they're trying so hard, or their wheels are spinning and they're not really making any progress. But you know, like even the fact when you said, you know, I'm a good mom, like those little things are so important to hear, because sometimes you lose your way and you really just don't know. So it's always
I can tell. You know, I can tell you're
really
a great
great
mom.
to hear that. We do.
That's
we
a
have
no-brainer.
a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun no matter what we do. I have to say, it's an activity every day.
Last time we talked to, we also, I think I gave you 5 stars on Reflections, which was a great solo album. I really, really, really like that album as well. So you got 2 killer solo albums out there now.
Yay, good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You're doing pretty good there. Yeah, I love the stories. You know, we talked before about how you met Ritchie, which is so cool. You met him on a soccer field. And it was the radio station, right? You were playing again. Was it against Deep Purple that you were playing against?
That's right. Deep Purple was on tour, and they called up the radio station I was working for, and they asked if we wanted to do a charity match. And so the DJs came out to play and played against Ritchie's team, which was basically just stocked with ringers, like these really amazing European players, and and Ritchie, and I think maybe Roger, and the rest of the guys weren't playing, but Ritchie's an amazing soccer player, football player.
Is he really? Huh.
Oh, he's great. Yeah, he still plays.
Really?
He still plays once a week.
Oh, he plays once a week.
Yeah, and he's running and actually that's one of the things on tour that we always make sure that, you know, we have this long laundry list of things whenever somebody joins the band or the entourage or, you know, like the crew or whatever. And one of them is they must be, you know, bring your cleats or at least some sneakers because you're going to be playing soccer with us for sure.
Has he ever played with David Beckham?
No, he has not.
No?
We haven't met Beckham. No.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
No, that's true. But I know he's met a lot of the older classic amazing greats out there, Lothar Matthäus and Pele. Like
Pele, yeah.
We're going way back. He used to go see the Cosmos games actually when he was back years ago, many years ago.
Yeah, we had I grew up in the D.C. area in Baltimore.
Okay.
We had the Diplomats, I think, Washington Diplomats.
Oh, cool.
Our soccer team, you know, and we have a soccer team down here in Tampa Bay too. They're pretty good.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
I mean, we love it. I mean, it's so funny because, you know, even the people that he plays with now, he when he tries to recruit people to come play soccer, he tells people, well, you know, if you're too good, you basically are not allowed to play. Like if you're on crutches or in a wheelchair, you can play with us. But other than he doesn't want the competition. He doesn't want the flying elbows that are going to hurt people, you know, because some people get so hell bent on competition and like trying to kill people just to score a goal. So he's like, it's all about just getting out there, getting the exercise, having fun with it. You know, you get to see your social circle, and you know, it's something different besides just going down to a bar and drinking. It's just nice to be able to get out there, play your game, you know, feel good about yourself, and get some exercise in.
Yeah, it's not easy either. My kids played soccer, and my son was a pretty good soccer goalie. He played in high school. Mm-hmm. But I remember one time they said, okay, parents, you're going to play the kids. And, man, I was out of breath. It's a big deal.
Hard, right? I know. And I love soccer. I mean, I played for many years, even before I met Ritchie. I was in for probably about 7 years or so. So all growing up, I played soccer on teams and tournaments and things. And ironically, when I was at the station, they wouldn't let me play because they said I was too young, so I wasn't allowed to play on the soccer field when Purple came to town.
You're kidding me. How old were you?
No, so I actually just stood on the side of the field and just cheered my team on. But I would have loved to have gotten out there, and I think they needed my help.
I would have killed them.
Totally, right? I know. Ritchie always says that I'm the secret weapon because nobody expects, you know, especially when you're playing overseas. Look, I'm 5'4". I'm a girl. I'm blonde. You know, they don't. But I have a really hard kick,
Mm-hmm.
So they don't realize that when the ball comes to me, it's gonna actually. I hate to say, I'm not bragging about this. I actually feel really bad about it. But this guy who was one of the video production guys, last time when we were recording, we played a soccer game against him. He was in goal, and I kicked the ball so hard, and he had it trapped at such an awkward angle that I broke his finger.
Really?
So his finger bent all the way back to try to stop
the
ball that I kicked, and his finger was, and he's, I felt awful about it. So now he calls me Killer. He doesn't even call me Candy anymore. He just calls me Killer. And he's Australian, so he's like, Killer, That's his accent. But, he doesn't even refer to me as Candice anymore. He's just, my name is Killer.
Killer Blackmore, I like that.
Killer Blackmore, I know. Which is out there. And here I am saying, I'm putting out all these really peaceful, beautiful songs, and my
I know.
There's something really wrong with that.
They don't know the other side. Killer Blackmore.
You don't want to see the other side of that.
Exactly. Yeah, they should have let you play. That didn't make any sense at all because, girls are great soccer players.
Right. I know. I love it. I love it, too. We have so much fun when we get out there. But and it's funny, too, because when my son turned 5 years old, he looked at me and said, Mommy, this year, football and wrestling. And I was like, whoa. All right,
wrestling.
kid. If that's what you... Yeah, he's totally into it.
Really?
So his new greatest, the thing that he's discovered recently is Dwayne Johnson, because somehow it went from Maui and Moana, and then we looked it up on YouTube, and he discovered that was The Rock, and which led him into WWE, and then it's a whole other world. But so when I told Ritchie, I said, Rory really wants to play football this year. And Ritchie's like, great. And I was like, wow, I'm glad you're supportive. That's fantastic. So I signed Rory up for football, and I went out and I got the little football, and I got him all the stuff he needed, the mouth guard and everything.
Cool.
And then Ritchie came to the field, and he's like, well, what the heck is this? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, this isn't football. I'm like, no, this is football. And he was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I thought you meant soccer. I'm like, if I meant soccer, I would have said soccer. Like, you've been living in this country since '74. You need to start speaking a little bit of American, right?
That's
it's
funny.
not always English.
That's funny.
So I always say
you're not worried about him playing football then?
No, he plays flag football.
It's flag football. Okay, good.
Which was perfect because he's the shortest kid on the team, but he's so strong, and it's like between 5 and 7 years old, and some of those 7-year-olds are giant 7-year-olds. And
that's true.
But Rory is so tough, and he doesn't back down. He's just like Daddy. He doesn't back down from anything. And he actually has Daddy's sense of humor, too, with practical jokes, which is very scary.
Really?
I had no idea that goes through your bloodstream. I had no idea. But it's frightening. But he gets in there, and, because he's the smallest one, you'll see him underneath this huddle of big, giant guys who are, trying to, all knock each other down, and Rory will duck underneath everybody, come out the other side with the flags.
Huh.
And I'm like, oh, my God. He totally gets them every time. I don't know how he does it.
What position does he play?
I think they switch, and when it's so little, I think they just switch it up. They were giving every kid a chance to try all the different positions at this point. So but he loves it. He's the practical joker who will come up behind me while I'm cooking dinner, and he'll just get a handful of ice from the freezer and stick it up my back.
Yeah, I used to do that. But
oh my God,
I used to do that all the
time. At
time.
the age of 5, this starts so early.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
You got brilliant kids. I mean, look at their parents. Come on.
It's scary.
The blood.
The parents are not. I'm a little worried that I'm not going to be able to keep up with whatever they come up with.
In the blood. Has Ritchie bought the kids a little Strat yet?
No, not yet.
Little Marshall amp.
You know what? Rory has a drum kit. He bought him a very simple kid's drum kit. Because Rory is all about hitting things.
Yeah.
And Rory loves it. Ritchie actually brings him into the dungeon room downstairs, and we set up music on the sound system. He's got lights, these lights that, every time he hits one of the drums, it changes blue to red. So he's got he set him up on a little mini stage down there. And
oh, you're kidding me. That is so
loves
cool.
It. It's his drum solo. He thinks it's the greatest thing.
Well, before you know it, he'll be in the band.
Right? I know. We'll be opening for them, I think.
Yeah, that's
my daughter and my son. Actually, it's really funny because my drummer now, the troubadour of Aberdeen, his name is Dave Keith. He's amazing. And he does this great drum solo. And in the middle of a drum solo, which my kids are fixated on watching him when he does his drum solo. But while he's doing his incredible drum solo, he'll just keep the bass drum going, and he'll start drinking a beer as he's doing his drum solo with one hand. Then he'll do his feet, and he's got 2 beers, and he drinks both beer as as he's doing the drum solo with his feet. And the other day, my kids were, they have all these like boxes of instruments. So I overhear these conversations. My daughter goes, "Rory, do you want to form a band with me?" And Rory's like, "Yeah." And she goes,
"Oh,
"Okay,
no.
you want to play?"
Here we go.
She goes, "You want to play the drums?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll play the drums. That's awesome." She goes, "All right, but can you drink 2 beers at one time?" So that's the criteria now
That's
for
awesome.
drummers. We set the bar pretty high.
That's funny. Last time we talked, I was intrigued by Ritchie's ancestry and the Jamaica Inn story and all that. And, and I just want to read you something real quick. I asked Ian Anderson about his, because, nobody asked Ian Anderson anything but music. We talked about the Bible. We talked a little bit about politics.
Oh,
we
wow.
talked about his heritage. Wouldn't you want to know Ian Anderson's heritage?
Totally.
The way he presents himself on stage and everything. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But he told me. I asked him about his family heritage, and did you trace your heritage? He says there's probably some dreadful Danish Viking who landed on the east coast of Scotland. Probably didn't even leave the sheep alone.
He's awesome. I love his interviews.
He's so funny. But the gist of it was, it wasn't a very romantic or glamorous background he had. He said might have had some Viking blood in him, but that was about it. Okay. He said we brought with us the customs, the language, and costume jewelry.
Interesting.
But I would have never thought. I always thought Ian Anderson might have, like there might have been a minstral in the gallery or something.
Yeah, you would have thought, right?
Yeah, from the medieval period or something. He would have been one of you guys. In that ancestry. But didn't happen. But then Ritchie, yes, and Ritchie, you can see it just in his demeanor, especially in California Jam when he busted out the TV cameras. That he does have the pirate in him.
Oh yes, exactly. Yes, that's true. And he really doesn't back. He's so principle based. He doesn't back down from anything. Like if he feels that he's right or that somebody else is being wronged in a situation, he is the first one to step up and get right in the face of whatever the problem is, which sometimes makes me very nervous. But he's a tough one for sure. And actually, it's funny because we started doing some stuff on Ancestry.com, and his dad was his dad was very big into making family trees. So we were just talking to his brother when we were over in England recently, and trying to get more information on the family tree. But I love when we were entering the information. There's a woman who was in his ancestry. One of his ancestors, probably back to I think the 1800s, and her name was actually Cinderella.
You're kidding me.
Cinderella, spelled with S, S-I-N-D-E-R-E-L-L-A. And her last name was Farmelo. Cinderella Farmelo. Sounds very English. But I just thought to have Cinderella in your family line, that blows my mind a little bit. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. You went to visit the island. It was an island where I guess the pirates would come to this island with their gold or their treasures and things like that.
There's an inn. The Jamaica is the Smuggler's Inn. Jamaica.
The Smuggler's Inn, right?
They come in from Penzance and go across Bodmin Moor and and they still have that accent. I think I told you last time. They still have that accent where they talk like pirates. They're all like,
cool.
R. Like they do the R thing a lot.
Yeah.
You thought that would just be in movies, but now there's a whole area of England where they actually talk like that.
My daughter got married last year. It was in St. Augustine, Florida, and that was
nice.
cool.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine whose family lived there, and the pictures looked amazing.
It is cool. It's got some history there. We went on the ghost tour and did all that stuff. It was really, really neat.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so important to pay attention to the history that's going on. There's stories around us all the time, and I mean even where we live, there's an area, there's an old church around the corner, and they have headstones dating back to the 1600s from old sailors and captains of ships from we're on Long Island, and it's pretty amazing the stuff that's just right in front of you all the time, but we really don't pay attention.
Yeah, I like cemeteries. I could walk around a cemetery and just look at all the tombstones and read them all.
I mean,
I was watching an interview with you and Ritchie, and Ritchie was saying he'd like to be a ghost.
He kind of is a ghost. He creeps up on us. I call him the Phantom because you never know when he's around. Like, he just sneaks up on you, wearing all black. We're not allowed to have any lights in this house. Lights. Even if I go out and try to get, like, light bulbs,
right?
The second I turn my back, he gets Sharpie markers and colors them in red.
You're kidding me, really?
I swear, I can't actually see anything in this house, and I feel like I'm in a cave. My kids laugh. They're like, Mommy, we live in a cave. I'm like, I know, I can't see anything.
My wife does that. She likes everything in the dark,
really?
like a dungeon, and I'm the opposite. I like light, because it's positive, it's energy.
It's nice when, especially like in things like the kitchen when I'm cooking or whatever, like I need to kind of see what I'm doing. And he gets very upset with me. He's like, there's no ambiance in here. I'm like, but I'm cooking. Would you rather have ambiance or salmonella poisoning right now? Like, you have to choose. Well, I need to know the chicken is done,
I'm surprised you don't have torches.
Pink, I can't see.
I'm surprised you don't have torches, up on the walls.
The beeswax medieval.
Yeah.
My house will burn down one day if we let it.
That's funny. And one thing you need, too, you need a moat, right? You need a moat, and you need that drawbridge thing going on in the front of the house.
That's true. And probably like the dragon under the stairway or something. Well, we definitely bring the ghosts with us wherever we go. So.
Yeah. Do you believe in ghosts?
Of course.
Yeah.
I do, yeah. As a matter of fact, my daughter's into ghost hunting now.
Oh, is she really?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. Both my kids are just, they're very, very open-minded, and they just, they love it. They're intrigued and very interested. I love the fact that they're not scared,
Exactly.
They're interested, they're asking questions, they're intrigued by it. And I'll tell them certain people think, this way or that way. Everybody's got, you kind of basically have to follow your own heart and see what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's your path that you're making in life. But, we've had so many experiences that to just, like, we always say, just because you can't touch something doesn't mean it doesn't really exist. You can't touch love. It exists. You feel it. You can't actually touch music. But these are things that affect you deeply. They bring you to different realms, different heights of emotion. So, just because something isn't right in front of you at that particular moment when you summon it, when you call it right away, it doesn't mean that it's not there at all, right?
True. That is true.
I mean, we know Australia's there. We don't see it.
Yeah.
Unless you take a plane there. But no, I'm kidding with that. But there's so many things that we know are around just by feel.
Yep. Now you guys have been to castles, right? And
no, many. As a matter of fact, we play castles. 12 to 15th century castles.
I mean, that's like the main areas where people have seen, real ghosts, especially in England, I guess.
A lot. We play a lot of in England. We play more historical opera houses. So again, going back hundreds and hundreds of years. Obviously, there's so many castles in England, and we play a lot of castles throughout the Czech Republic and through. We've done them in Italy and Spain, and obviously Germany every year. This year we're playing Luxembourg, a beautiful castle where actually Ian Anderson, last time we were there, Ian played the night before we were there, so he left us a big signed, like a little message on a poster that was in our dressing room the next night when we got there. It was waiting for us. But but it's a funny thing, whereas you would walk into a place, there could be a castle that's completely clear that has none of this stuff going on, that's just very peaceful and nothing, and then you might go to another place that's just been built, and it's more the grounds that might be, have that energy or that activity, and the place might look brand new, but there might be something that was there prior to that, and in another realm, they wouldn't even see that. They would just know where they were going. And there's so many different ideas too. They might go back to where they're comfortable to. They might just be energy forms that haven't even been born yet. Once you start thinking about stuff like that, your brain just starts
blows the mind, yeah.
Right. But for me, it's always been like, my analogy has always been like, it's the difference between seeing just like a flat square in front of you, and then you start getting involved with stuff like this, and all of a sudden the square turns and it's a cube, and you start to see all these different dimensions and all these different possibilities and realms, and it just really, it's intriguing, and it opens your mind so much. And again, nobody knows, nobody can say, even if they've been ghost searching, I don't like to say ghost hunting, I'm not a big hunting fan, but if they say ghost searching, for many, many years, even those people who have experienced things, nobody really knows why they come back to where they do, or if, what the reasons are. The experiences you had in those places, but we can't say for sure, oh, this is why ghosts appear. There could be so many, you just have to keep your mind open and just enjoy every experience. But that's the same thing in life as in other lives. You have to, in this life too, you have to keep your mind open and enjoy every experience anyway. So it's almost like a life lesson.
But everyone's got to put their smartphones down first.
Because
we're getting to be, like robotic. And
did you ever see that picture of the zombie apocalypse? And it's just like a group of teenagers like looking at their hands, pressing buttons. I'm like, wow.
That's right. Exactly. It's sad. It really is.
You know what? When we landed in England and we drove from London to the hotel we were staying, which was right next to the O2 Arena, and we were exhausted. We're on jet lag. We're stuck in traffic. It's taken us 2 hours in a car, but it gives you a chance to look out the window and see, observe things that are going around.
Right.
And if I tell you on that drive, I'm not saying it happens all the time, even on that drive, but specifically when we landed and drove, whether it was that time of day or that particular road or whatever, if I tell you hardly anybody there was on a phone or a tablet or typing. Whereas if I go to New York City, everybody's staring. If you go to certain places, or even in Germany, everybody's staring at their hands and pressing buttons or talking on their phones or Bluetooth or whatever. But that one particular ride, I was like, oh my goodness, we've just found this. Look around. We were amazed that hardly anybody on that ride was doing it. They were riding bikes. They were talking to each other. We went over bridges. They were looking at the water. I feel like we've gone back in time.
They're enjoying life, real life. Yeah.
It was kind of you learn from stuff like that. It's not 100% hopeless. There are people out there that are still kind of enjoying.
I still have a flip phone. I refuse to buy a smartphone. I don't care. I'm on the computer so much because I'm also a writer, and I've written a couple of books, and
cool.
I stay up late at nighttime. So.
Right. That's the most
all I need is my
time
computer. I don't need to walk around with a computer in my hand too.
No, I don't blame you.
Too much.
I don't blame you. Richie has a flip phone, but he still doesn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
So, he says he has it in case of emergencies. I'm like, so in an emergency, what are you going to do? Throw it at somebody? If you can't, if you don't know how to use it, there's no point in having it. So, but he's old school. He'd probably just rather send out the message on carrier pigeon or smoke signal at this point. I think than use a phone.
That's so funny. Blackmore's Night. I saw a couple of great Deep Purple songs that you guys do as well. Soldier of Fortune, Child in Time. You did a great version of Child in Time.
Oh, thank you.
It's incredible. And then all of a sudden you're doing a slow version of Smoke on the Water, and then here comes Ritchie with the power chords, coming in there just like the old days. It's so cool. It is so awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a good band.
You know why we love it too is because he with these kinds of songs, he doesn't feel the pressure of that he has to do it.
Exactly.
He pulls it out when he wants to do it, which is so much more freeing for him.
He looks really happy. He looks like he really enjoys that band.
Yeah, he's in a good place. He really does have a really great time. Even when he's redoing some of the Rainbow shows, he's which is fun. That's fun for him, but it's also a lot for him to try to remember from so many years ago.
It is.
There's so many great songs with that too. But then he's always great, going back to Blackmore's Night. That's where his heart is right now.
That's where his heart is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he performed some dates with with Rainbow in Europe. I think it was in June, right? Where he did some dates. How did that go? Was he was he happy doing those shows?
Oh yes, it's great. It's great. I mean, he always feels like it's that nostalgia. He's bringing the fans back to them. Being teenagers again and being able to play those songs and we've got a really good group of people in the band, and we have a good time. And unfortunately, actually, we had to cancel. Well, we didn't cancel. The venue canceled one of the shows, so because it was in the Manchester Arena, where the terrorist bombing just happened, and they didn't. We were asking every day, "Is this? It's horrible. What are we doing? Are we playing there? What do we do with that?" And the promoter didn't tell us until we actually were on a plane and on the other side, and when we landed, we got the message that no, we're not going to do that show. So they took that show out, which was hard for everybody. But at the same time, it was great because Ritchie had put out Land of Hope and Glory, which is actually also not only put out as for a rainbow track, but he put it out for on the Blackmore'S Night CD for the 20th anniversary, the double CD, which is called To the Moon and Back. So that's coming out later, probably I think next month.
Great.
It's one of the tracks on there. So it was great for him to kind of put that out for people because he really wanted, he is such an English guy at heart. He lives in America, but he still has an English passport. He still hasn't gotten American citizenship. England is it's his roots. It's where he comes from. His whole family is there, and it's his blood and his breath. And he's so nationalistic with England. And when something so horrible like that winds up happening, and obviously it's been a few times now in England, but it was important, I think, for him to kind of do that song to show his love for his country and the pride of the country, and to give it to the people as well. So you can't
England really got
like
hit hard. It's like boom, boom, boom. And with all this terrorist stuff.
It's horrible. It's horrible what's going on now, and it's so scary. I mean, and I don't know how to fix something like that. It's very, very frightening. You just have to hope that you get out there and you do your music and hope that everybody's safe and everybody's okay and your children are okay and your fans are okay, your friends, your family. And
exactly. I interviewed some people that, were talking about terrorists and things like that. I talked to Petula Clark, and she talked about World War II in England. I talked to John Mayall about World War II in England and, the bombings, and they'd have to be in air raid shelters. And, imagine that in England, when you're getting bombed,
Oh, my God, I know. Ritchie actually has a scar on his lip from falling on an air raid shelter.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
little known information about Ritchie Blackmore.
Is his mustache covering it up?
Yes, exactly. That's right, exactly.
I figured that.
But it's so funny because, you see more, like the more English people I see, like Phil Collins, I think, has that same exact scar. Like, what is it with the English in that area of your lip? It's funny.
I think, what's his name, from Cheech and Chong, Cheech has if you look at his mustache, it's kind of not straight from the scar that he has there.
Oh, really?
It's kind of a crooked mustache. Yeah. He's got a scar there. And my son's got a scar there, too. My dog, he was playing with my dog. We had a Sheltie, and they were playing, and he accidentally bit my son on the lip.
Oh, no.
So from that day, he still has a scar there. Oh. So it's pretty common.
Right, I guess so. Yeah, there you go.
You do a lot of charity work with animal welfare, right? You guys,
yes.
But you and Ritchie both?
Yes.
What kind of things do you guys do, and what kind of animals, and where, and what locations, and things like that?
Oh, yeah, well, we try to switch it up with every location that we do. Like in England, we were doing Save the Badgers, because apparently the badgers over there are endangered. So we were collecting on behalf of the actually the Badger Fund came and they were collecting on behalf of them. When we were going to Germany, there was one year where we bonded together with the WWF, the World Wildlife Federation, and we did that for a few years. And that was brilliant because they worked it out, because they're such a giant, foundation. They worked it out with the promoters, and they were able to secure €1 per ticket. So it wasn't, like breaking the bank for people who came to buy tickets. And we always try to keep the tickets prices low anyway. But it was just €1 per ticket. And with that, when we spoke to them, they said to us, where do you want the funds to be allocated? Go to our website and check out the different animals that need it. And I'm like, I am not going to decide, if just because, this one is furrier and cuter than, that tortoise, so it deserves to live more. Like, I can't make that kind of decision. I said, you guys,
right.
I want to save all of them, So I said, you guys know where you need the funds, where it can be used better, so we'll, the funds will be transferred to you guys, and then you decide, what to do with it and where. And it was perfect, because what they wound up doing was, because of the funds that were donated through our concert, they were able to plant 6,000 fruit trees in Borneo,
cool.
and mark off a restricted area, a habitat for the orangutans. which are endangered. And the problem was the orangutans were being endangered because of poachers and because of deforestation, and their whole habitats of fruit and trees were being flattened because of development. So we were not only able to help with them having their own area that was protected, which was great for the animals, but also planting the fruit trees also helped with the oxygenation and giving back to the environment. And so it actually wound up being like this whole, environmental project as well. It's not just the animals, which is amazing and good enough, but on another level, it helped the environment too. And then when we come, and we've done a couple of things like that with WWF and COOL. With the O, one of the O's is actually like an oxygen symbol. Wound up figuring out our carbon footprint, and we were able to plant trees in Panama that would like replenish the air with the carbon footprint of whatever we used for our touring.
Right.
So we've done stuff like that through the years. And when we come home, though, the dates that we do at home, we usually try to, instead of having like, major foundations, because there's a lot of celebrities, here that wind up helping with animals.
Right.
So we try to help the smaller charities and the smaller shelters that need the help, because a lot of the local charities and the local shelters really, really need it. They're hands-on. They're doing it 24/7. They're asking just for donations of like paper towels or like anything they can do to keep it going. And so whenever we get to certain towns, we kind of look up what the local charities are that are doing amazing work and that really need the help and are, what we'll do is we ask them to come to the shows, and they're able to set up booths. They can raise awareness of their foundation or their shelter. They hand out paperwork to people. People wind up getting involved as volunteers or donations for them specifically, and sometimes we even like auction things off on stage so we can raise funds for the specific animal charities as well. So, but we change it up locally every night when we're on tour in America.
Good for you. Thank you for doing that. That's wonderful. I'm a huge animal lover, and anytime you can save an animal or help an animal,
Absolutely.
I donated my time with the Humane Society here locally.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
it was an eye-opening experience, to
Absolutely.
see everything that gets done.
And it's heartbreaking what I can't even watch the commercials that they put on, about it, or like the things that flash up on the screen. I literally, I'll wake up with nightmares. So I have to try to like put it out of my head, otherwise I'd be consumed by it every day. But these people who are actually in these shelters are doing it every day. They see the most horrific things, the abuse and the abandonment, and they
terrible,
fix it, or it's incredible. They are true angels here on Earth to be able to do this kind of stuff every day. Whereas, like, even seeing one animal to me I get goosebumps when I talk about it. It would just break my heart. They're like doing amazing work and constantly and tirelessly, and it's hard. It's hard on their hearts and on their spirits, and they do it for the greater cause of these animals, their well-beings, and it's just incredible. So, even to just like be able to bring awareness so other people help as well. Like I remember there was this place down the road from us, and I saw that they needed some stuff. I looked them up on the website, and they were like, and they had a whole list of things. And I just went to the dollar store and loaded up the whole back of my truck with everything that they needed. Yeah. And I pulled up to their the area. And I was like, I have some donations. And they're like, oh, let me help you bring it in. I'm like, no, I think you're going to need like a wheelbarrow or something. Like, do you have something bigger? So I just emptied everything out. And they were so touched. And those are the same people we invited to come to the Patchogue show here last year. And they were like, we remember when you brought all that stuff, and thank you so much. And they came here and they set up a booth, and they've been talking about that moment like ever since then. And it's just you wish you could do it for every one of them and all the time. So.
I know. Yeah. It's heartbreaking is the stupid poachers. They're still around. They're still killing elephants and things like that for their for their tusks. And on Facebook, every once in a while they'll post a picture that, oh my God, it's like somebody killing a giraffe for sport. God. Things like that. It just, my blood just boils. I said, why? Why are you killing a giraffe?
Right. And what is so wrong in your brain that you're proud of that moment?
They're proud of it, and it's usually like a young kid, and then their father taught them, that kind of thing.
Right. Exactly. I never, in every single step of that to me is so wrong. Like to buy the gun to go out there specifically to kill something.
Right.
Like before you even get out there and actually commit the act, knowing
right.
what you're doing, that you're going to go out there and get blood on your hands and destroy a life. Like, you're okay with that? Like, really? Like, I feel like I'm almost not even talking to a human being when I... Actually, it's funny because I always tell Ritchie, I'm like, we talk about oxymorons. I'm like, mankind to me is an oxymoron. Like, you can't like think that that's okay to go out there and then to hide in the bushes or to
right.
wear the camouflage or to spray yourself. Do you ever read some of the stuff that people do? They spray themselves with urine. Like, just like really like to make them and they're out there in the freezing cold and then they see something and they absolutely just destroy its life and they're okay with that. That's frightening to me. So that's evil and on Earth, like right there. I will never.
I interviewed Ted Nugent. I couldn't even bring up animals with him.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. I would get in such a
I can't.
an argument with him. I didn't even want to go there.
No, I'm glad you didn't ask Ian about it. Does Ian Anderson do that? I don't know if he does, and I thought.
Well, Ian loves cats. He's a big animal lover too.
Oh, good.
I know
good.
that.
Okay.
I don't think he kills anything. I haven't heard
good.
it.
No, I hope. Because he's into the. There's a specific type of cat. What is it? Not Burmese. Is it Burmese?
Could be Burmese. Yeah.
There was a whole thing he
was
doing with all of these cats where he was saving
Yeah.
all the cats. Yeah, that's right. That's good.
Because I asked him, I said, "Do you have any wild cats?" He said, "Oh no, I'd never, put a wild cat in a cage or anything like that." So
right,
he was
good.
really.
Oh, that's good. Good. I'm glad. I probably have it totally wrong then.
Didn't you tell me once you guys played Epcot in Disney World?
No,
a long time ago?
We've been there. We haven't played there, but they actually
Okay.
in Paris at Disney World over in Paris every year they play at Christmas time they play Winter Carols. For all the people, they have it on their big sound system over there, so it does get played.
Are you guys going to be playing any more dates in the U.S. pretty soon or coming
right
up?
Right now
or?
we're actually looking at fall. Now we're looking
in the
at
fall.
the
That's a good time.
So, yeah,
that'd be a great
so
time.
hopefully that'll all work out. That would be great.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add?
No, that was a really good conversation.
I think we covered everything.
I know. I feel like I've given you stories of my kids and my family. I keep forgetting we're recording this, or like other people are listening.
That's right. And not only that, it'll be on YouTube, iTunes, 5 other music publications. I do a good job promoting each artist.
That's awesome. And of course, we'll put everything up on our social media and our .com sites and Twitter and
Appreciate
Instagram.
that.
So we'll fill in any gaps. That's great. Yeah, the only other thing was just that, the 20-year anniversary of Blackmore'S Night, and that we've got the double CD coming out.
20 years. I can't believe it.
Tell me about it. Look, when the 5-year-old little kids come to me, in the beginning of the project, and then now they're 25 years old, I'm like, how did that happen?
Jeez.
It's amazing. It's crazy. But, so we've got, basically, what we did to choose these tracks is I polled the fans on Facebook sites, and I asked them what their favorite tracks were over the years, and if there was anything they thought that should be redone. And so many of them said, no, don't change anything, don't touch anything. But these are our favorites. So we chose a lot of the fan favorites and made that disc 1. Like Ghost for Rose, of course, always winds up coming up, or Fires at Midnight, or Good Lantern, stuff like that. And so we kept it true to form, remastered and put that out there. And then disc number 2 is a bunch of new songs. So we also did. You were talking about the Rainbow thing. Ritchie and I covered "I Surrender" from Rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
He's got "Land of Hope and Glory" on there.
Yep.
There's we redid some of the other songs, like "Somewhere Over the Sea." We added some new parts and made it into a different kind of production. So we changed that. We put "Moonlight Shadow" on there and made it very acoustic and very intimate, which is very different than the original, when we put that out on the other CD.
Right.
And actually there's another song that my daughter brought home from singing class, which was called "Ghost of John." And that was a very, we never heard the song before. She brought it home around Halloween time.
Right.
And she was singing it, and it sounded almost like a Gregorian kind of chant, and it was amazing. And Ritchie immediately fell in love with it, so we had her sing it about 1,000 times. He's like, sing it again. And he picked it up on guitar, and so we re-recorded that and added some more lyrics to make, more and more verses. And she actually is singing at the very end of it.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
That's
you'll
incredible.
Hear her. Which
That's
is very funny
incredible.
because when we asked her to sing on it, she first came down there and she belted it out like Annie on Broadway, like she was singing the part. And I'm like, oh, that was amazing. I'm like, but let's just make it a little bit quieter and a little bit more innocent, and because she was like ready to just tackle this song, she was so excited. And then she started doing these vocal exercise scales where she's like, have you seen the, and I'm like, no, don't do the like just keep it true to the note, you know. So finally, like the fifth take or something, where she's just singing, "Have you seen the ghost of John?" like that. I'm like, that's perfect. She's like, but that's the most boring way I sang it. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's perfect. She wanted to keep adding her own little flair to it. So, but that's cool. So we've got, you know, there's a bunch of new stuff as well as the
Incredible.
old classics.
Well, you guys are wonderful. You know, I love you both.
Oh,
you know, keep up the great work. You got an incredible band there. You do all great things, positive things, and you've given the world a great CD here for children and adults as well with Starlight, Starbright. We really appreciate that. So, Candice, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really, really appreciate it. My best to Ritchie.
Okay, definitely. And I hope the CD will calm the twins for you guys when they come. Congratulations on that.
I think it will. We're excited. Two identical twin girls. Can you believe that? We're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Candice.
Double the love, though. Double the trouble, double the love, right?
There you go. You got it.
Have a great time with them. Enjoy them.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye, Ray.
Bye-bye now. You can purchase the latest CD from Candice Night entitled Starlight, Starbright at Amazon.com. For more information and concert dates, visit www.candice/night.com and www.blackmore'snight.com. Visit their Facebook sites at www.facebook.com/Candice Night Official and www.facebook.com/Blackmore'S Night Official. They're also on Twitter, www.twitter.com/TRU Candice Night. Very special thanks to Carol Kay of KO's Productions for arranging this interview with Candice Night. Also, Doug and Don Newsom with BBS Radio for making it all happen every show. Join me bi-weekly, Mondays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on The Ray Shasho Show. If you have comments or suggestions or would like to be a guest on The Ray Shasho Show, call 941-877-1552 or email us at ray@publicityworksagency.com. And don't forget to purchase a copy of my book entitled Check the G's, The True Story of an Eclectic American Family and Their Wacky Family Business, or the second edition entitled Wacky Shenanigans on F Street, Proud to be Politically Incorrect in Washington, D.C., available now at Amazon.com, and you will live it.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to The Ray Shasho Show, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Call 941-877-1552 or visit us at publicityworksagency.com, specializing in author and music artist publicity plans. We shine when we make you shine. Join Ray Shasho every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on PBS Radio, Station 1.